Hey guys, so this is a audio overlay since there was a problem with Dr. Stinson's recording and my video didn't record my voice, so it's going to be a little choppy with the matchup, but here is my presentation. So all that was just me messing around trying to figure it out. So I did animal adaptations. And this lesson is called Animal Adaptation Actions. That was the title of the activity. The grade level is Science 3 through 6, though I do think this is a 3rd or 4th grade level more thing. It matches their standards rather than a 5th or 6th grade, but it can be altered and adapted, and the animals can be harder, there can be more, and that will help you make it a little bit harder. So the activity objective is I can define adaptations and correctly identify the adaptation of an animal for 3 out of the 4 pictures provided, and this will be like using clues, which is the big idea, which is the standard of Science 3.4. So the overall objective is I will be able to use clues provided to come to a conclusion. So the clues will be auditory clues and visuals shown in pictures, and the conclusion is what adaptation that animal is using. So for introduction or background, this is something you're going to have to do before, either on another day or as an introductory lesson before this activity. So you're going to have to define adaptations. So when an organism adjusts to their environment in order to survive, and you're going to have to list and define the 4 types of adaptations that will be in the activity. And I suggest you also using animals. So the first one is camouflage. So when an animal attempts to blend into the environment around them, so this is a Vietnamese mossy frog, and the clue that you can give them other than just the picture is that they actually couldn't find them for so many years that they thought that they were extinct, and it wasn't because they weren't there. There were thousands of them there. They just couldn't find them. The next one is migrate. So that is when an animal moves from one location to another as the seasons are passed. So this is a visual representation of the African elephant migration from the Zambezini camp in Central Africa to the Zanzibani camp in Southern Africa. So that just shows them moving season to season. The next one is mimicry, so acting like something else to benefit yourself. So this can be through movement, sound, appearance, and more. So this is a Vietnamese walking stick, and what they do is they attach their lower legs to a tree, and they stand up on their hinds, and they sway with the wind, just like the branches do. Because if they are a stationary object on a moving tree that's blowing in the wind, you can see me dancing up in the corner now. If they are stationary, they'll be more likely to be seen. But if they are moving and mimicking the movement of the branches, then they blend in more to the tree. The next one is hibernate. So hibernation is when you become mostly inactive and usually resting during the colder months. So one that I think kids would know very well is a groundhog, because there's a whole holiday planned around it. So I put in a picture from the 2019 Groundhog Day. And then I also have a picture of a groundhog sleeping. Hibernating more. So this is one I just thought they'd all be aware of. So the activity setup. So you go to the gym or a field around your school, and you have 4 cones set up, and each cone has a sign on them. So one sign reads migration, and there's an activity that goes with it, which is also on the sign, and that is flap your wings. Another cone has hibernate, which is squat down and close your eyes. Another one has mimicry, which is find a partner and mirror their movements. And then camouflage. And so camouflage, it's a let's choose this activity together. This gets kids excited because they get to choose an activity and they get to be involved and integrated within it. So, this could be jumping jacks, push-ups, anything. Then you have to print off animals, pictures of animals within the 4 categories of adaptations. Increase or decrease the amount of pictures based on how long you want the activity to be. The link at the bottom is pictures that they do have online. However, those pictures are $2 each, and it's not very difficult, so I just printed up, I just got my own pictures. These are the signs that are provided at that link right there above, that you can just print off, and that's the original document that has all the instructions or anything like that that you need. So first you're going to have the students form a circle, and you're going to walk around in the circle and you're going to chant. And what you're going to chant is, animals adapt to their environments to survive. Animals adapt to their environments to survive. And while the instructions don't say to play music, I would play music because I think it would be beneficial just to keep them moving and give them a little pep in their step. And then you would stop the music and you would hold up a picture and state the name of that animal. Also a fact if you want to. And the children would run to the cone that they think the adaptation is and start doing the activity that goes with that adaptation. So they would go to, if I held up a bird, which everybody knows that birds fly south for the winter. So they would run to the migrate station and they would all start flapping their wings. So here's the 4 pictures that I have of an example. So you see the bird there. The one in the bottom right corner, that is a sea dragon. And, well, you don't even have to say any facts about them, but they should be able to see from that picture that they look like plants in the ocean. One that you would have to say a fact with is that Tasmanian devil on the bottom left. And what you would say for that one is, the Tasmanian devil got its name because villagers kept hearing horrible screams that sounded like people in the forest, and they said, oh, the devil must live there. And then they found out that it was this little animal right here. They named it the devil because it screamed like a human, so it was mimicking a human scream. So now at this point, it is on assessment, but if you look up in the corner, I do have my snake Nagini out. So I wouldn't just hold up pictures. If I was doing this activity, I would bring in animals, and I do have quite a few animals myself, but I would bring in my snake, my ball python, Nagini, and I would hold her up and I'd say, now, what adaptation do you think she has? And you can see from the patterns on her skin, I'm holding her up, you can see them. It looks like a tree, and it also blends in well with high grasses. And that is because they live on the edge habitat in Central Africa, where they have the high, tall grasses, and then they have the rainforest trees. And so they have to be able to camouflage in both of them. After that, let's talk about assessment. So throughout the whole thing, we will be assessing them by which cone they go to and whether it's correct. And then I also created this exit ticket where the first question is, what is an adaptation? And then other ones, they have to look at the pictures. So on this first one, it's 2 snakes that look at each other, so they're mimicking. Here you can see the animals are in a long line that are traveling, the buffaloes, and so that would be migration. And then on the bottom one, you can see a lizard that looks exactly like that leaf right there. So that is camouflage. And then we have a little mouse sleeping, so that would be hibernating. For safety concerns, I'd be most worried about kids running into the walls too fast and hurting themselves, and children hitting each other while they are hitting each other while they're doing the movements. So first off, the first thing I think you should do is hold it in a field or an open area or like a sporting field that you have at your school. And this just encourages them to spread out more because it's more of an open space. So kids just normally spread out more in my experience in open spaces. And then there's also no walls to run into, and so that eliminates that. And then if you don't have access to a field, in the gym, I would suggest printing out circles or getting those little rubber circles that they have and putting them on the floors in each area. And that way you can tell a student to go stand on a circle in that area, and you would have spread the circles out enough that they wouldn't hit each other while doing the movements, and then that also gives them a designated space to stop, and that way, a designated place to stop, and that way they wouldn't run into a wall because they'd be going there. You could also probably modify this by, instead of having like cones and areas, by doing like those circles all on the ground and having like color coats. So it's like mimicry is red, yellow is hibernate, so you'd go to the color instead of like going to a cone. I think that would be a good idea, and it would help them spread out more and kind of lead to more running around and a little bit more activity. I wouldn't recommend doing this in a classroom because it has desks and chairs that would be tripping hazards and kids would try to jump over them and stuff like that. Now you can see my snake a little bit closer if you'd like. And at the end of the presentation, someone did ask about all the animals that I had, so I did point out behind me I have a snake and a bearded dragon and a tarantula. And then someone asked, wasn't Nagini the name of the snake in Harry Potter? Which, yes, it is. And my spider is Aragog from Harry Potter. And the bearded dragon is Storm. And it's short for Stormfly, which is from How to Train Your Dragon. So they all have, like, themed names. So, yeah, that was my presentation. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'm sorry about the slight audio overlay. Bye, guys.